What's up, Mortgage Coach community? It is a day before Thanksgiving 2020. We are rolling into the holidays, and I am sitting down with Chris Devin out of Boston, Massachusetts. What's up, my brother?
Hey, Mr. Savage, how are you? Thanks for having me. Fired up to be here.
Yeah, I am fired up to have you. And guys, Chris is someone who has become just a close personal friend. We've been through a few pretty interesting conversations, a relationship with Ron Quintero, a mutual friend of ours that we lost a year ago, or was it 2 years ago now?
2 years ago. Crazy.
2 years ago. But I mean, dude, we've been through ups and downs. And while we've never lived in the same zip code, we're not high school buddies, but through business, I think we've become pretty close friends, man.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to be around you, and you've given me so much that I'm grateful for, and this community is truly amazing. So glad to jump on here and hopefully give back.
Yeah, well, every time I talk to you, I get inspired. I feel like I become a better professional, a better husband. Guys in the community, the title of this is Overcoming Adversity in Leadership, because we're going to talk about how Chris has built his team and why he's built his team the way he has. Chris, before we get into the Culty adversity story, which I think will be helpful for everyone, just tell everyone, what kind of production are you doing? Describe your results that you're getting, your team structure as it sits today, and then we'll get into the bigger story at hand.
Sure. So this year has been a record year for pretty much all of us, right? So it's been phenomenal. My goal going into the year was to do 100 million. As of I think yesterday, we had helped 439 families for just over 182 million. I reset the goal with the team a few months ago to try to hit 200 million. I think we're going to hit that, which is super exciting, and forecasting a strong year in 2021 with purchase business hopefully being up. And I know there's talk of refinances being down a little bit, so we'll see how that plays out. But ultimately, we've reset the bar for doing 200 million again, and it's been a great year in a lot of ways.
Well, dude, you are absolutely one of America's most successful leaders. If you're doing over 100, and I think it's 14 million this year, you're top 1%. So Chris is clearly in the top 1% and then some. So very elite level of success. Chris, you're also, you use Mortgage Coach. Your team uses Mortgage Coach for both advice and for community. Just real quick before we get into the adversity stories and strategies, what is your Mortgage Coach why? Like why are you on the team, and why do you listen to the content and use the product?
So it's really an interesting story, Dave, and I've said this to you in the past, is that I've been involved with Mortgage Coach since I think 2007, when I first met you back at a Vegas convention, and I adapted to it pretty quickly. I used to send out the rate watch reports via mail. So it's been a while. I have come in and out, to be completely honest, as we've talked about changing companies, just getting lost in the shuffle. I really consider myself, I think I used the term with you, as a poser in a lot of ways. I only used Mortgage Coach recently over the past couple of years when it was really needed. So I've been a fan, I've used it, but recently I have just rededicated myself to it, and watching all the videos and implementing it in where now everybody's getting a TCA, and I have seen tremendous growth, and the response has truly been amazing. Whether it's using it for the refinances, I don't know if you want me to jump into it now, but I've had tremendous success utilizing it with growing relationships with real estate partners. This community is awesome. I think I took Amber's idea, literally just copied her TCA, and was able to implement it into some immediate strategies with clients. And then as I was getting these awesome responses, I'm like, wait a second, I'm always looking for content to share with my real estate offices. And typically I would go and do meetings once a month at the office, and COVID hits and everybody goes to Zoom. And I found it to be actually way more effective. When you had those office meetings, a lot of the agents don't show, you don't know what you're going to get. It's hit or miss. People are taking cell phone calls. The Zoom meetings, they're recorded. And I found that, the agents attended because they could do it from home. So you have a captive audience, and typically, they're looking for 5 to 10 minutes of content. And I would stress about that. Like, what am I going to talk about? And then the light dawned on Marblehead, like, wait a second, what I can share from Mortgage Coach. And the one that I started this with was Amber's Move Up Buyer, really moved the needle. I mean, I had everybody's attention. Every meeting I got on, the follow-up from the agents was awesome. They wanted to introduce me to clients to run it for them. And, moving forward, what I realized is that I can just share a recent report that I did that week, whether it be a refinance TCA, that's a reason for the agent to reach out to their clients to say, checking in. If you haven't refinanced yet, reach out to a lender. If you need a recommendation, call Chris. He has this amazing technology that's going to give you a breakdown and a total cost analysis. That has been awesome. So it really has been a content creator that I've been able to leverage with agents and financial advisors. That has been an absolute home run for me.
Well, let's close out with specific playbook and checklist of how you took Amber's Move Up analysis, where she said, hey, here's your current loan, you could refinance and save money, and here's what moving up looks like. Let's save that for last, and how you turn that into just a realtor referral opportunity. But let's go into the adversity story, because when I first interviewed you, I don't know if we told this story on the stage at Sales Mastery, but you were on my panel. I think it was pre-meltdown, sharing your story and how you overcame adversity. Also, I interviewed you in the early days. I've been doing interviews. They weren't on a YouTube channel back then, so I don't think I think I do have a Chris Devin interview in the YouTube channel. But I mean, this is almost like pre-Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. But you've had to overcome adversity a few times in your life. So let's talk about that last interview that we did, and then let's talk about what adversity you're coming over in 2020. Guys, don't multitask right now. Like, this is an opportunity to hear someone's story, hear how they overcome adversity, and trust me, when you hear what Chris is overcoming right now in 2020, beyond just what we're all overcoming with COVID, I think it's going to be inspirational, and I think it's going to be really helpful coming into the holidays and preparing for next year. So Chris, share a little bit about your first overcoming adversity story as a mortgage pro.
Sure. So what we've shared in the past is that my whole life I've had a speech impediment. So many will consider me a stutterer. I consider it blocking. But it was a major part of my life growing up. Middle school years, high school years were really tough. And I basically, through speech therapy, had to reteach myself how to breathe and speak. And that's something that I've carried with me my whole life. And through college and post-college and getting into a professional career, I had really struggled with it as I started to have kids and life got a little bit more complicated. My speech started to regress, and I was always really good at masking it. I could find ways around it. I would never tell anybody or own it. It was just something that I just had this 800-pound gorilla on me I never talked about. And long story short, when we were on stage together, I think back in Sales Mastery, is that I talked about, I met this woman, Diane Paris, at Boston University, and she changed my life, and she taught me how to advertise. Like this conversation we're having right now, I would have never done that back 10, 15 years ago. And that was a major help. So, the speech piece, it's a daily grind. I have my daily exercises to overcome it and try to be as fluid as possible. But it really was a block for me. And people, will tell me, you don't have a speech impediment. And I take that as a compliment because I do my best to work on it, but it is something that, has gotten better over time, but has really worn on me as well. So I'm in a great spot right now with my speech. It's part of who I am. If I stutter, it is what it is, and I just get through it. But that has been an obstacle that was challenging for me in the mortgage business because we're constantly on the phone, and now we're on video. And I thought that if I was stuttering, I would sound, like I didn't know what I was talking about, or didn't sound professional. But we have overcome that. So it's part of me,
So I'm gonna try to find a past interview because he described in detail when we first told this story about what it was like to be a junior high student, a high school student, and just how serious his speech impediment was. So guys, here's the takeaway: you could overcome it, and he's a leader on video. He's a leader with media. He is an American Dream host for Boston. I know you're also doing I think it's CNBC show with Craig Sewing and American Dream. So he is turning media, and his biggest fear, like most people that had a stuttering issue, and again, what I learned from Chris, it's not like it goes away. It's just you learn how to manage it. You learn how to communicate in a way, and he's creating video in all aspects. And you create a lot of video, right? In addition to what you do with the American Dream.
Yep. Correct. And I use video. I use Vidyard specifically to communicate with clients on a daily basis. And yeah, video is a major part of my business. So.
Well, I applaud you, bro. Yeah, no, you're killing it with TCAs, and we'll close out with what you're doing there. We'll close out maybe some tactics around how you're using the video you're creating with Craig and American Dream and using that to build your brand and generate leads. So let's talk about the adversity you're overcoming right now. I mean, it's 2020, and when you and I caught up a couple of weeks ago, man, it was heavy. So tell everybody what you're going through and how you're making the best of it.
Sure. So 2020 has been a crazy year for all of us, right? Has been a little extra crazy in the Devin household. I got diagnosed with multiple myeloma. It's a blood cancer. In early July. And what had happened is back in March, I started to have headaches in the back of my head. And it was a different headache. I'm not really a headache guy, and blew it off and got to a point in April where I wanted to connect with my primary care physician, and we're in the middle of COVID, right? So we had to do it via Zoom, and I got diagnosed with occipital neuralgia, which is a nerve condition caused by stress. And at the time I thought, I'm not stressed, but we are in the middle of a pandemic, and I do have 4 kids, and life is a little crazy. So I have occipital neuralgia, and it's caused by stress. So I just kind of accepted that. And the conditions in my headaches got worse. And so it got to a point where I actually walked into the office on a Monday morning. This is just before July 4th. And the team said to me, Chris, you got to go to the hospital. What are you talking about? They're like, you're slurring your words. And I'm like, really? This is scary. So I went to the hospital, had a CAT scan, blood work. Everything came back negative. I said, all right, I have occipital neuralgia. And we just kept going with it. And it got to the point where my headaches turned into neck pain and shoulder pain. A few weeks later, I had a very close friend that, due to COVID, I hadn't seen in probably 6 months. And he randomly stopped by the house one day, which was just a random time I happened to be home. And it was greater beings that were involved here, I'm sure. And he sat down with me, and I was telling him what was going on. And he said, we're getting on the phone with my mom right now. She's been in neurology in the hospitals in the city for 30 years. She knows everybody in the city. Let's give her a call. I said, we're not going to bother her. We're fine. And he's like, nope, we're getting on the phone. And we called her that night, and she said to me, Chris, I don't mean to startle you, but you got to go into the hospital tonight. And this is at 9:00 at night. And I happen to be home alone with the kids. And I said, Ms. O'Connell, I can't go tonight, but I promise you I will go in the morning. And I did. And it was the first thing that I did that next morning. And I went into the city, And she said, the only way that you're going to be seen and get the right help right now is to go into Boston and get into the emergency room. And I did that. And they gave me a little bit of a hard time, believe it or not. And I just begged them for an MRI. I said, please, like, I know something's wrong. And they found a mass on the base of my skull, luckily not touching my brain, but it was on my central nerve and main artery. And that turned out to be cancerous. And I have multiple myeloma, which is a blood cancer. So it's attacking my spine, my hips, my pelvis. And they call me a unicorn because they hadn't seen multiple myeloma come in the form of the blood cancer with a mass in the head. And it's also typically found in 70-year-olds and older, not mid 40s. So kind of a strange situation, but I'm beyond grateful. I'm in at Dana-Farber in Boston, which is the #1 hospital in the world for, one of the top hospitals in the world for cancer. And I'm on a clinical trial with Dr. Paul Richardson, who's one of the top specialists in the world for my disease. And it's just amazing care, amazing team. And I have a really positive prognosis. And we've had some hurdles over the past few months, but right now I feel great, and am confident that we're going to be able to manage this for a long time. So it has definitely been a crazy year, but it is what it is. We're going to plow through it. So,
well, bro, you are an amazing inspiration to me, to hear what you're going through, to hear that you're just, you're managing COVID, $180 million in production, 4 kids. That is enough for just about anybody to go, what? And then, managing cancer, dude, the fact that you have such a positive attitude, that you can even talk about it with such positivity and inspiration. I mean, it's truly an inspiration to me. And I hope anybody listening to this in the mortgage coach community, you are inspired by Chris and just how positive and productive a human being can be. So let's take your story and let's talk about the things you're doing as a leader, because you have to be a leader to your family. You have to be a leader to your team. I know you have a vision of doing even bigger things as a mortgage professionals through your cancer battle and on the other side of your cancer battle. So let's talk about, like, what are you doing to as a leader right now?
So what's amazing, guys, and what I want to share with you is that there's some truly great silver linings that I've found amidst 2020 and with everything going on. And one of the biggest things is my team and how I've been able to grow the team. If you told me at the end of 2019 that we're going to come into a pandemic, I was going to be diagnosed with cancer, and in October of 2020, I was going to close 59 loans for 29 million. I would have called you crazy. Like, how is that even possible? And as I look back, we really dialed in, luckily in the end of 2019 on growing the team. And I sat down, I did an exercise that I found to be extremely helpful, which is I laid out everything that I thought would build my business that I wanted to do, like time pieces that, were non-negotiable, and, business building activities that I wanted to focus on, and everything that I didn't want to be involved with. I made that list as well, and then found the team member that could accomplish those tasks. And it was black and white, and we stuck to it. And that has really allowed me to grow the business and referral partners, and the team is cranking. And, I've been doing this almost 19 years. And I remember, being back at conferences with Dave or Sales Mastery and seeing these, big time producers talking about the numbers that they were closing with less stress. And I remember just watching them saying, is that even possible? Do I even believe you? And I can tell you now, guys, I mean, I consider myself a student of the game. And I mean, this community in itself, between, Jeremy and Dan and Josh and Amber and Denise. I mean, there's so many out there. Those are just the ones that come to the top of my head. To listen to these guys and to hear what they're doing and adapt and just focus on what's going to grow your business has been so valuable to me. And when it comes to the team, I mean, it can be done. I started out just with myself and a processor, and I added a loan partner. Right now, I'm currently at 3 loan partners, about to add a 4th. We have 3 processors. 2 out of the 3 I do share with other loan officers in my branch, but we're going to probably have 3 dedicated processors, hopefully in the first quarter of 2021. And that has really been the difference. And when I look back at this year, and I've spent a decent amount of time in the hospital, and during that time, I'm not going to lie, I was on my phone and I was, trying to return some calls. But when it comes to, the actual loans getting done, I closed more business that I had ever closed, spending half the month in the hospital. So, the team does matter and allows you to leverage yourself and to really grow. Another huge thing that I've learned with the team is, anytime this year, for the first time, I never did this before, if I got pulled into something that I thought I was the only one that could do it, you know what, let me deal with it. I acknowledged the fact that this is something that I had to do at the moment, but I didn't want to do in the future. I would tie in the right teammate and have them jump on the call with me, have them jump into what I was doing with me, so they could hear me, hear the dialogue with the client. And then after we got off the phone, I would make sure their questions were answered, they understood what happened, and make it clear that I didn't want to have to do that again. And it's one of those things that has really worked for me. So rather than just jumping in and trying to put out fires, I've really kind of focused on teaching the team to do the tasks that I'm typically in the past getting pulled into. And that has been a huge game changer for me.
Well, I want to get into specific tactics of how you are leveraging Mortgage Coach, because you have. I mean, part of the conversation we had is, one, just a personal update on what you're going through as a human being. And then you were like, Dave, I want to tell you how I've embraced 2 things. One, we're creating more total cost analysis than ever, and I want to get into how you're doing that. But I also know you've been really leveraging the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, and you went to the Modern Mortgage Summit, and you're like, Dave, so tell everybody how you're leveraging that community, because I think there's a lot of inspiration in that.
Right. Another huge silver lining to what's going on is that part of the cancer treatment is the drugs and the steroids, which unfortunately challenges my sleep. So I've been going to bed earlier, and I've been waking up around 3:34 a.m. and there's no shot of me going back to sleep. The positive to that is that I have created a morning routine that has changed the game for me. And I'll get up, I'll make my coffee. With everything going on, I try to actually meditate for 30 minutes with my coffee, and just clear my head and focus on the task for the day. And then I jump into the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, and I have become 100% dedicated. It's literally what I really enjoy. And I'm not just saying on the weekdays, like I do it on the weekends as well. It sounds crazy, but there's just so much information in there. And I just keep going back in time, pulling up new interviews. It has been an awesome resource. And as Dave knows, I've had multiple coaches throughout my career. I work closely with Ron Quintero, our friend, for years. And I've used other coaching systems as well. And they're all great for different reasons, but this resource of what Dave has built is amazing. And the members of the community, like I said, like the Jeremys and the Dans and the rest of them. It is amazing. They're very consistent. They do a phenomenal job. They're unbelievable presenters, and I find that I just take so much out of it. I mean, going back, Dave, to the Amber video that you actually cut down to that 10-minute video on that move up buyer, the refinance versus the move up buyer. I mean, that is gold. And that 10 minutes of video has changed how I interact with my real estate offices and has really given, my agents an opportunity to leverage, they don't even realize it, but the mortgage coach community and has given back so much to me, which is why I want to give back to you guys. It truly has been amazing. And I have the time to put in an hour. And like you said, I have 4 kids and a busy life, and they all play sports. And for me, it doesn't fit in jumping in the middle of the day or even in the evening when I'm kind of burnt out. But that morning time, my hour with you and the clap every morning gets me going. and it has been a complete game changer. And to that point, I have also utilized, I think it was Denise that said she does it when the kids go to bed, or maybe it was Amber. She does her TCAs in the evening. I do them in the morning.
Her refi TCAs.
Her refi TCAs.
Yeah. She's like, I do realtors during business hours, purchase and realtors, and at night I do that. And so, by the way, Amber, if you're listening to this, think about how cool is it that you were able to do one interview with me. We were able to put it in the YouTube channel, and then we're helping Chris take it to the next level. And then we're helping his realtors. We're helping their families. She's in Chandler, Arizona, and she's influencing and killing it in the Boston area. So I think that's cool. So real quick, like, how many videos do you listen to a week? And how much time do you set aside in your morning routine for Mortgage Coach versus other things that you're doing to grow?
I'm pretty consistent with an hour, and it's usually between like 4:30 and 5:30 is my time. And some of the videos might be shorter. I'm doing TCAs during the rest of that hour. And right now what I'm doing is I'm going through the database, and in case rates start to creep up, I am purchase focused, and my database is sitting there, and I haven't been able to dedicate as much time as I would like to the refis. But I've found that by utilizing the morning, like right now I'm at 3.5, I believe. So I'm going through all my 3.5s, creating TCAs, getting those out with videos, and then following up with people. And that's a constant flow of loans coming in for the team. And then once I'm done with the 3.5, I'll go to 3 5/8, et cetera. So just trying to work back just in case rates do move on us and I don't lose out on those lower rates. So that has been a tremendous refinance flow that I wasn't doing before that is really working out for me now.
So before I say what I'm going to say, I wanted to put a disclaimer in. I am not recommending foregoing sleep. I think in terms of our energy and showing up, getting the amount of sleep that you need to be your best, I'm not here to say don't do that. Do that. I go to bed early. I get up early. I wear a ring that measures my sleep, the Aura ring. I take sleep seriously. So what I'm going to say now is not to say get less sleep. Get the sleep you need and get the quality sleep you need and have the lifestyle you need in order to do that. But I am going to say Netflix, the news, random social media, guys, replace that with Mortgage Coach. We are super intentional about who we interview, what we put into our YouTube channel, the playlist, so that it's tactical, teaches you skills and tactics, and it's inspirational. It's amazing, superhuman leaders in the mortgage space. Like, a lot of the people I interview are like, if there was a Hall of Fame for the mortgage industry, they'd be in the Mortgage Hall of Fame, and they're just sharing what they're doing. So I do think a daily, like, I think champions train daily. And I'm not saying that Mortgage Coach should be your only source of content. Like, there's other great sources of content. I listen to Joe Rogan when he interviews someone I like. I listen to Jocko Willink because I love Jocko and I love his message on leadership. But I do believe if you're a mortgage professional, you should have mortgage coach community as part of your, for sure, weekly rhythm, if not daily rhythm. I didn't interview it for the channel. I did more of a voice of customer interview with a new loan officer that's only been in the business for 2 weeks now. And he had about a month's worth of training. He's listened to over 50 videos in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. And he was just telling me how, like, I'm confident to talk to realtors because of Jeremy Fortier's 5 questions. And he just is telling me all these scripts that he's getting that are helping him hit the ground running his first 2 weeks in the business. So I do put a push to everybody. Use that channel, subscribe to it, listen to videos weekly. Hey, Chris, before we move off that topic, anything else you want to talk about or share, or any like hacks that you've learned on how to use the Facebook community and the YouTube channel?
Sure. Well, in regards to the mortgage coach stuff, so just speaking to my story and strictly what I went through, like I said, I've been a mortgage coach fan for a long time. What I realized looking back is that I thought in my head it took more time, and I was in, but I wasn't all in. And I would come up against hurdles occasionally, and that I would allow those hurdles to stop me just because the report wasn't coming out the right way, or it was taking too much time, and I would leave what I was doing. And jumping into the YouTube channel, I mean, Tina does a great job, and especially recently with breaking down the how-tos, and I would encourage you, if you're similar to me in that, you use it, but you're not all in, and just diving in and pushing through it. Because my experience now, I mean, I can't wait to do the reports. I really enjoy it. And Dave, I know I've listened to a few interviews recently, whether it be, I think, Kevin or Dino, and their team is doing the reports. When I listen, and I think that's awesome, and it's maybe something that I'm going to do in the future. But right now, when I look at the task for the day, going back to like my best business building activities, what I find when I'm doing TCAs is that I get into the report, and sometimes my thought process changes. Sometimes when I'm looking at the numbers, I realize, you know what, I'm not going to show this, but I'm going to show that. And it gives me a chance to be creative. And I love making the videos because this is where, in my eyes, I'm the doctor. I'm the one that's providing the value. And if I can create that, understand it, relay the message, the referral source, the client, they love it. For me, it's time well spent, and I enjoy doing it. And I love getting the reaction from the client, because I mean, people just go bananas, and you say it time and time again, it's not your typical loan estimate of what somebody else is giving, and it just blows away the competition. So for me, it has become, a daily practice that not that long ago, it would have been like I got to do a TCA, to now I can't wait to do it. And, I might not need to do it, but what I've learned through watching the videos is by showing the information we share, you're not just a mortgage guy, another guy with a rate quote. And the past client was going to come to me because they had done 3 or 4 loans with me, and that's awesome. But you just don't know if they come across that person in the office that says, hey, you got to call my guy, and they hit a weak moment and they call that guy, right? By using Mortgage Coach, you're really protecting your database and your clients. They know that you're a true advisor, and you're looking out for their best interest, and you're providing them with stuff that others aren't. So it has truly been a game changer for me.
Well, I love it. And I'm so happy to hear that you're loving it. I love that term, my clients go bananas, and we call it the wow. They are wowed. When you give them a Mortgage Coach TCA, they are wowed. And you made the point that it saves time. Now you do have to make 20 or more total cost analysis. Chris has done over 40 in the last 30 days. And you wore a black belt, and right now you've got a new account with the company, and you've crossed brown belt, but you were a black belt years ago when I used to interview you, but you weren't using it with everyone. It was more like, hey, when I'm getting grinded or I feel like the client wants it or needs it, you would just, it'd be that Swiss Army knife that you'd use every once in a while. But he's got to have it now. I'll be doing a black belt interview with Chris in a few months, the way him and his team are doing it. And I'll be interviewing
And
him
red belt,
on a,
right?
yeah, well, red belt, you probably have a
I'm
few
in a
years for
race
that.
with myself for the red belt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm going to be interviewing Brian Morley. He might have broken a record. I'm going to have my team do some analytics, and became a red belt. That's 1,000 TCAs over less than 3 years. I think it might have been a little more than 2 years, but black belt, everybody, is 300 TCAs, and Chris will be there shortly. I think you could get there by the end of the year if you wanted to.
Right.
Not pushing you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to transition a little bit. I also want to wrap this up out of respect for your time. But dude, this is just gold. I mean, to me, I got inspiration. How do we not love this guy? How can we not be inspired by Chris and just what he's going through? But yet he's still training an hour a day, and he's going the extra mile for over an hour a day. Because when you create a mortgage coach report, it's going the extra mile. Now, here's the thing. It saves you time too. But let's get into the strategy at hand. Tell us what you're doing with Amber's move up analysis. You don't by any chance have a move up analysis on your screen right now? I mean, is there any chance I could share Amber's just so people know what it is, but if you have one, share your screen. And after this Zoom interview, share that link with me so I can put it in the links down below. Let's see how you have taken Amber's strategy and made it yours.
Okay. Can you see the screen, Dave?
I do not.
Okay. Hold on.
Little green arrow box.
Share screen one. I'm in. Yep.
Boom.
Can you see it now?
And we see it. Go to the top. I just want to see how you're branding yourself. So you've got your photo. And guys, another thing I want to remember, when you're creating this type of content on a per family basis, you're creating content. You're creating stories. Chris does video content with American Dream, and he also does video content via email with Vidyard, which is like BombBomb. So these are like stories. Like when you go from just quoting, here's a fee worksheet, that's not a story. That's a commodity rate quote. When you create a TCA, you're creating a story that you could create social media content with. I just noticed that Deborah Bird is listening on this, and she's Denise Donahue's social media manager, and she also happens to be Denise's sister. She's listening to this, but what we're seeing right here is a story that you can create content with. So show us what we got.
So this is one I did recently. Like I said, I've used Amber's in meetings, but this is a real deal that I got on the phone with a client looking to refinance. They closed in December of 2016. They bought a place for, I want to say it was 448.5. And right now their value is around 565. They are currently at 4.5 from the last loan that we did, and we can refinance them to 2875 and see here, save them about $541, which is amazing, right? But when I met them, they had one child. They now have two, both youngins, and they have a third coming. And they were talking to me about home renovation. They've saved up some money and potentially taking some cash out when I followed up with them about this. So that was going to change the numbers. Immediately, I went into the idea of the move up purchase, and in their market, in their town, $700,000 is going to get them what they were looking for. And they actually found a house online that they were thrilled about. And so what I did is I just broke out that for them. And, I think all of us are seeing right now, most of us are seeing an extremely competitive purchase market. And to Amber's initial report, you got to be able to show it, where it's not contingent upon the sale to really be competitive in today's market. So these guys had saved up money for the home renovation. They had actually 10% to put down, and they were comfortable with the payment going up for a short period of time if need be. So if you look at column 3 here, we looked at a $700,000 purchase, putting down 10% at 2,875 with MI. Their payment would go up about $761. Okay. And what I showed them is that this was a safety net. We truly believe that if you get aggressive and put your house on the market, it's going to sell. And we're doing a lot of people that are doing same day closings. Very popular right now. I probably do 10 to 15 per month. So it can be done, but this was more of like a safety net. And then showing them after the fact what their loan would look like. They were comfortable with recasting their payment, which we can do for them, putting down another 135,000 or so with the proceeds from the sale. Their payment was only going up $54. So for their dream home with the space that they need, they'd be able to basically have the same payment for all intents and purposes. I mean, $54 is nothing. And then taking off what I learned from the prior videos is what does that look like over time, right? So, the savings over 5 years was over 17 grand, but you're telling me, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, that you're comfortable with that short-term increase in payment. What if that was long-term? What if you took that 135,000 and invested it, in an interest-bearing investment account and ran it at 5%? And what does that do to your net worth over time? And as you can see here, their net worth is significantly higher, $200,000 or so, and it would be 1.16 million. So when I showed them these numbers, they were actually completely fine with the increase in payment. Their debt to income ratio was in the low 30s, and they haven't purchased yet, but they love this strategy, and they'll end up investing that money, which now opens up an opportunity for me to make an introduction to a financial advisor who I have right down the street, who's close to them and their current home. So it's just a home run, and they were open to all of the above, including the introduction. And that's just one example of a win for sure.
So first of all, get me that link. Anyone that's watching it, it'll be in the show notes below. So if you're watching this in our YouTube channel, there's notes below. There'll be a link to Chris Devin move up versus refi analysis. Stop sharing your screen real quick, Chris. So guys, so this is a story. This is a strategy for one of his clients. He saw the Amber one and he actually used that. And you turn that into content with your realtors. So describe that. And also, have you turned this into any content with what you're doing on American Dream or any social media content? But let's start with just realtors. How have you turned this into stories and strategies to get more referrals from realtors and to create a relationship, a more valuable relationship with realtors?
Right. So when talking to my loan officers in my branch or other loan officers, a lot of people are nervous to go into office meetings because they just don't know what to talk about. It just, what the rate environment is and the forecasts and all that stuff. And after you do that once or twice, you run out of content. Guys, this software is an amazing opportunity to share and grow relationships. And I can tell you, I don't think Zoom meetings are going away anytime soon. And it's a great way to share it, in office meetings. Reach out to offices that are in and around your area that you're trying to get into, and share this idea and say you'd love to talk, have the floor for 5 minutes. And you open up something like this and you'll gain a lot of fans really quick. And just going through something like that, it's amazing to watch the Zoom meeting, Dave, because all of a sudden you see people's faces reacted. Everybody's watching and everybody's dialed in, and you can see their minds going, and they all have clients that they could reach out to that could benefit from that. So you're giving the agent a reason to reach out to their clients to create more business. And they're realizing that you're a true professional that has resources that others don't, that can really help their move up buyers, help their clients save money. And it has been a game changer. Same strategy, guys, with financial advisors. I mean, advisors love this stuff. So to be able to show them how they can reach out to their clients, they're usually doing annual reviews themselves. So if they're able to talk about low rates and make the introduction and not just make it to some banker who's showing a loan estimate, this is something that makes them look good, right? So you want to get in front of advisors, agents, share this stuff, because it is awesome. And what I've realized is that, I've been doing reoccurring meetings, and I don't have to really even prepare too much. I can just pull up a report that I did this week, and it could be, like I said before, just a refinance, right? But it's a reason to show them that they can reach out to their clients. It might not be because they're moving today, but you're helping them save money, and there's value to that. Oh,
I was my bad. I had to unmute. So I love it. And I want to share a best practice from the Modern Mortgage Summit. And Chris, I want to know if you even saw this one, but this is, to me, two of the best stories and strategies that everybody in the mortgage coach community should be rallying around, are what he just went through, the refi versus move up analysis, and then what Denise Donahue shared at the Modern Mortgage Summit. Did you see Denise's keynote at the Modern Mortgage Summit?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
So guys, here's what she did. She's helping families with our rep versus own analysis. And she showed a family, hey, you could keep renting. You could buy a 215, 300, 360,000 home. This is outside of the Dallas area. She's in Dallas. And she showed them, like, hey, here's the difference in monthly payment graphically. Here's the difference over 60 months, over 5 years. And then let's look at it over a longer period of time. So the same formula, only she did 10 years instead of 15 years. But guys, then what is she doing? She's turning this into scroll stopping social media content. Now, her social media manager is her sister, and she runs a company called plugandplaysm.com. Check it out. But I want to see more people like taking what you did for a family, and now like that's really the pillar content. Now you take it into a realtor Zoom and Learn, or whatever realtor event you're doing. You use it to deliver value, create transactions, create differentiate for yourself. You turn it into scroll stopping social media. You turn it into whether you use BombBomb, Vidyard, CoVideo, you turn it into a story and a strategy you share with your database. If you are going big time, like everybody in the American Dream Network, you make it part of one of your American Dream shows. Guys, now what you're doing is it's just like this vicious circle of killing it for the family, taking that, building my brand, and what's happening? You're just getting better. You're becoming a better advisor. You're becoming a better marketer. What are your, first of all, before I ask you globally, what are your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the Denise strategy and the rep versus own?
Absolutely love it. That's a no-brainer to use with the realtors, right? And I'll tell you what she's doing with her sister with the social media stuff. Though that is a non-negotiable for me in 2021 is to leverage Mortgage Coach in that way and to get it out there. I mean, guys, first of all, there's not a lot of people on social media in our industry, right? And for those that are, a lot of it is just talking about the rates. So if you can share stuff like Denise is sharing, it's an absolute game changer. And I'm not doing it yet, but I am diving into it, and it is 100% something that I have to do in 2021. I learned about Canva recently and just getting familiar with it, but a tremendous way to grow the business and give valuable information online. It's awesome.
And guys, there's a lot of, call it social media resources. I'm a big fan of the American Dream and what Craig Silling's doing. Big show. I'm a big fan of what Deborah is doing. I'm a big fan of, and we're going to talk about it this Monday on the Modern Mortgage, or excuse me, the Friday Mastermind. We're going to be having Scott Nicholson and what he's doing with Lender Launchpad, how they're taking stories and strategies powered by Mortgage Coach with Family and then turning it into marketing content. It's huge. So, bro, let's go into wrap up mode. If anybody is watching this on our Facebook group and you have questions, I'll try to get them answered. Deborah said, thank you. She agreed. I set an alert on Mortgage Coach YouTube channel so I stay informed. So when you subscribe, you can make it so that every time a new video gets uploaded, you get an email and you get an alert. So Deborah recommends that. I like that idea. Chris, what are some of your final thoughts as we wrap up today's session? Words of wisdom to the Mortgage Coach community.
2020 has been a record year for many, right? But I think 2021 is going to be a tremendous opportunity as well. And for those that are on the fence or not sure how to build a team or whatever it may be, I mean, now is the time. I truly believe there's never been a better time to build a team and leverage yourself. And with the forecast being that the purchase market in most cases is going to be up 10%, refis should remain strong. You want to make sure that you have the capacity to grow. And I think a lot of people fall into that thought process of, well, what if it turns? And I'm overstaffed. Sometimes, guys, you just gotta hit the gas, right, and just floor it. And now I feel is a calculated time where you can really, build out and hire. And 2021 is going to give us the ability to grow. So I'm all about growing the team, and secondly, leverage this community. I'm so grateful, Dave, for what you've created, and to all the people that give, like the Jeremys and Dans and everybody else that I mentioned. I mean, it's just awesome, and it's been a game changer for me. And I've kind of been silent on the back end for a long time, and a fan, but grateful to be here. Glad I could come on and hopefully provide a little bit of value to something that has given me a ton of value. So I'm fired up for 2021.
Well, let's do this. When you hit black belt, the week after you hit that 300 TCAs, which my guess is going to be in January, no later than February, just looking at how you're trending. Let's do another interview.
And challenge. I'm ready.
Yeah, and let's center it around team. Like, how are you and your team? And let's make it more than Mortgage Coach. Let's make it like, how are you delivering advice? And then how are you turning advice into media? And maybe we even have some examples, whether it's videos you've created, stories around Zoom, lunch and learns with realtors, an example of maybe something you did with American Dream. And we just talk about, hey, how to turn that advice into a personal brand where you're the most well-known, most well-respected mortgage professional in a market that you serve. What do you say to that, brother?
I'm in. Sounds like a
plan. All right, dude. Well, bro, have an awesome Thanksgiving with your family. I am grateful for our friendship. I'm grateful for who you are in the community, and dude, you're just complete inspiration to me.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you.
Everybody, if you got value from this, give it a like. Whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're watching this in our Facebook group, give it a like, watch it with your team, share it with your mortgage friends. Take care, y'all.
Yeah.